Hello, dear passenger. This is your captain speaking, and we are about to take off for another episode of Adventulina. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Adventulina. This week, I'm a little more excited than usual, and it's not just because of my upcoming trip. Yes, I am counting down the days, but I'm excited because this week is a big one for Adventulina. It marks the beginning of something super special, and it kind of sets the stage for a whole line of surprises coming your way on the show. And with that said, I'm super happy to finally announce officially that this week I'm going to have my very first guest on the show. That's right, I'm not flying solo this episode. I'm going to be joined by an amazing woman and solo traveler, someone whose journey is very inspiring and adventurous. Her name is Giovanna Silvestre. Giovanna is a creative soul and a solo traveler. Her journey started in Hollywood and she worked in the entertainment industry for a while. Despite being super successful there, she kind of found herself in a dark place. This tough period of her life pushed her to ask big questions such as what her purpose was, what she wanted from life, and who she really was. And it was during that time of reflection when she created her brand and also began writing her first book. With a love for design and wellness, Giovanna also created her unique activewear line, Confused Girl in the City. Her work has been recognized by Forbes, NBC, and many other media outlets. And now, Giovanna's first book, Confused Girl, is coming out in May in just a few weeks. Written during her 2 years of solo traveling around the world, the book mixes personal stories and lessons for others to help them understand that it's okay to be unsure. And sometimes confusion actually leads to clarity. I know you're already intrigued, and I'm not going to waste any more time. So I give you guys Giovanna Silvestri. Enjoy. Well, Giovanna, welcome to Adventurina, and thank you so much for being here. You are actually one of the first guests of the podcast, so I'm honored that I get to talk to you today. I already introduced you briefly at the beginning of the episode, but please share a little bit about yourself with my audience. Let us know what we need to know about yourself.
Well, the short version is I'm an entrepreneur, influencer, and author. The long version.
We're getting into it. Get into it.
Well, I'm originally from California, and I was raised in San Luis Obispo, which is like a small coastal town in like central California. It's really beautiful, very beautiful. And my father was from Italy and my mother's Irish American. So, very dynamic family. And my parents owned a restaurant. So, I grew up working in the restaurant business, which, it's so crazy thinking about how you don't see that anymore. Like, you very rarely see now a whole family working in their restaurant together.
True.
But that was so normal for us. Yeah. And I think that's where I got my entrepreneurial spirit really was, and just being able to navigate people and different personalities and understanding so much of life came from working in the restaurant my entire life.
Yeah.
So I went to USC, and after USC I was like, okay, well, I'll start working in the entertainment industry because that's what everybody did, even though I didn't study film. And I got pretty high up pretty quickly because I'm a people pleaser and they love to abuse people pleasers.
Oh, yep. More than anything. Yep.
Yeah. And so I worked in the film industry for quite a few years. And I got to this point where I was like, I don't think I want to do this. This is really brutal. And
Yeah.
a lot of the women that had been in it for years were just not very nice. And I just didn't want that to be me. So I took a break. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I decided to go back home to the restaurant and see if I wanted to take over the restaurant. And one day when I was working behind the bar, this really cute guy came in and we started talking and we ended up dating for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really a great guy. Honestly, and this is before online dating. So
Yeah.
guys, really took you out and treated you well. And he's
Yeah.
definitely typically the marrying type. He was such a good man. I think he's married now. I think he is.
Hmm.
And but I just was kind of, after 2 years, I'm like, is this really what my life is going to be? Like, is it going to be, I'm just with this person, and I have a, and then I have a family, and then I have the restaurant. I mean, that would be my dad's perfect vision
Right. Yeah.
life. But it wasn't my, I didn't have a vision. I didn't know what I wanted at that point, but I just knew that this didn't feel right for me. For somebody else, it might have been their
The
dream.
dream. Hmm.
And that's okay. We're all different. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with having your own dreom. Um, and
Absolutely.
and I just knew it, this didn't align with who I was, and I didn't know who I was, but I knew this wasn't it. So I came back to LA. I'm in my late 20s. I'm like, oh my gosh, I spent my entire 20s doing things that I don't want to do. I have no idea what I want to do. So now I'm unemployed, broke, single, and I just went into this depression. And all my negative thinking got out of control, and I just felt so worthless, which is a horrible place to
It
be.
is. It is. I think a lot of us have been through that, and we can relate totally.
Yeah. So I just got to this place where I was like, you know what? I have placed all of my self-worth into other things and other people. Like what my family thought about me, what other people thought about me, having a boyfriend, having a nice car, having a cool job or whatever. It was always looking outward and seeing how I was measuring up
Hmm.
and checking boxes. And I had no self-worth because I had never put my self-worth into myself.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad as a kid, he's like, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. And but it's like, how do you believe in yourself if you feel like you have no self-worth?
Hmm.
And so I was like, I want to feel good about myself just because I exist. That was
Yeah.
my main goal. It was like, I just want to feel good because I'm alive today. And then if something good happens, okay. If something bad happens, okay. But there has to be a level of feeling good about myself. So
Yeah.
that was my goal. And I figured out how to do that by things I write about in my book. My book.
Yeah. We're gonna get to it.
And so yeah, that was kind of the beginning of it all.
Yeah. And when did you get your travel bug? Like, what made you, go into traveling? What made you discover like the passion you have for traveling? Because you're a well-known solo traveler, and we're gonna get to that. But uh, tell me what you remember from your maybe first travel experience, or how excited you got for a certain trip. Like, when did the whole thing start?
Well, you know, I so after I got out of my depression, I was like, okay, let's figure out what you like, what you don't like, who you are. So I started this video blog because that was like the thing a decade ago was video.
Yeah.
And I called it Confused Girl in the City on YouTube. And I decided to do one new thing every week to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like start to
Love
understand.
it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I did a lot of things I didn't like, and then I did a lot of things I did like. And after I think like a year of doing this, maybe longer, I just opened myself up to trying new things. And
Hmm.
I had this friend who would solo travel. And when she'd come back and tell me her stories, I was envious. I was like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. But I felt like I couldn't do it for some reason, and I was scared,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, well, I'll just wait for a boyfriend to come around, or I'll just wait for a friend to come around. And
Hmm.
honestly, with when it comes to travel, if you wait for other people to come around, you're just not going to do it.
You're never gonna do anything. Yep.
And so I was like, well, screw that. I'm going to go. And my first solo trip was to Europe, which I'm familiar with Europe, so it was like not so crazy. It wasn't like going to Japan or
Yeah.
somewhere that I don't know at all. And I did go to cities that I had never been to before. Um, but I was really nervous at first, but then I just got used to it. And when I
Mhm.
went from city to city, I was like, okay, I can do this. I got this. I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
And it's crazy the confidence you build by doing that. And you're not even
Crazy.
trying to build your confidence, but it just happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like for a lot of people who are having a hard time taking the first step, it's like just do it and you will see that after your first trip, you build so much confidence that you will not like you won't be able to wait to go on another trip. And that's literally what happened to me too. So I completely relate to that. And I also say break things down because some people are like, I get too anxious because tomorrow I have to go to the airport by myself. Then I need to, get on the right plane. And if I used to do this with a partner who would take care of everything, now
Right.
I'm by myself. So I don't really know how to do those things. So people would be afraid of the whole experience. And I always say just break it down, just one thing at a time. First, take your Uber, go to the airport and be like, hey, I achieved that. I'm already here. Then go through TSA or find your, gate and then get on the plane. And once you arrive, okay, next thing is just to get to the hotel. Once you break it down, I feel like it's not that scary your first time. And after that, it's just like, why did I wait so long to do that?
Do this, right? Yeah, a lot of people say that they're like that. Like, why did I wait so long? It's interesting because I have a neighbor and her husband, I mean, they've been to over 100 countries. I mean, they've
Hmm.
lived in different countries, they've been all over, but she was going to meet her dad in Europe.
Hmm.
And she doesn't fly alone. She always flies with her husband and he organizes the tickets and he does everything. So she was
Yeah.
really nervous. And I'm like, but you've been to more countries than me.
Yeah.
And she's like, "But I don't do it alone, like, my husband handles all of it." So she
Yeah.
was really nervous, actually, and I was like, "That is so interesting." I
Hmm.
wouldn't have thought that, but
Yeah.
it's a big difference when you do it on your own, but now it's like, I don't even think about that stuff.
Yeah.
I just
Right.
like, that's just so like, going to the airport is like going home, it's not.
Yeah. True. Love it, love it. And since you just showed us real quick the book, let's just get into it a little bit. You have a
Mhm.
book publishing coming up next month. Talk to me about how did you come up with the idea of the book? Did your travel experience influence the writing of the book? Of course, without giving out too much of the story, because everyone would want to, read it without being spoiled. But yeah, tell us more about the book. Please share also like the dates when we can expect it. I already ordered, as I said, so I'm super excited, and it's gonna arrive around my birthday. So I'll have something to read about around my birthday. And yeah.
Yeah, so the book the premise of the book is that confusion is a virtue. Because that's what I really discovered through all of this. I'm like, I felt so bad about myself because I didn't have the answers and because I didn't feel like I knew who I was and I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. And it was just like shame, 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 right? And but I'm like, that's so silly. Cause who is born with a manual on their life? Like,
Yeah.
avoid these people, don't date that person. Okay, when this happens, there's gonna be a fork in the road, take this path. I mean,
Yeah.
there isn't a manual on your life. You're literally having to figure it out as you go, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
And you can only control so much. And I do believe we're in a time, the more you try to control, the more things just are gonna blow up in your face. At least that's my life. Like, I'm like, I just have to release the control because it's like,
Yeah.
it's not
But it
work.
makes sense. It makes sense. A lot of times we make plans and we dare to plan for too much ahead, and then something small happens that ruins everything, and we're like, well, maybe I shouldn't have planned. So that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I wanted to write a book for the women that were feeling lost, confused, stuck, not feeling good about themselves, maybe in a
Mm-hmm.
depression. I kind of thought about me when I was going through my depression and what I would need to hear. And I really take you through the moments where it was super painful and what hit me and where, like, how I take you through the lead up to it and then the breakdown and then
Yeah.
how I was able to rise out of it and then have this incredible journey. Like, a video blog came out of this. Then a yoga wear line came out of this. I never thought I would start a yoga wear line. And so I teach also people how to follow the breadcrumbs that the universe is leaving for you.
Mm-hmm.
Trust your instincts. You know, as a woman, as women, we have amazing natural instincts. And I even write about this, how women make better spies than men. Like the
That's
CIA
totally true.
actually says that women make better spies because they really are good at reading body language, and we can sense things. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense why we would have that, because for survival, because we're the physically weaker sex, right?
Yeah.
So we're constantly just trying to survive and navigate dangers. So we feel when something might be dangerous to us. So we do have this innate ability. So it's like, let's use it and let's trust it. Let's move with it. And I talk about how to let go of shame and guilt. Like, guilt is more to do with, oh, I did this wrong, or I hurt somebody and I feel bad about it. And shame, it has to do with the self
Mm-hmm.
feeling inherently like there's something wrong with you. So I talk about how to kind of how to recognize that and release it, because also as women, we carry a lot of shame. It's almost like in our DNA, and it kind of gets
Yeah.
just it just kind of goes down the generational line.
Sounds very exciting, everything about the book, and I already shared with you. I love the cover. Just great job. It's
Thank
really fresh.
you.
Like I yeah, just show it, please. It's awesome. I love
And it's
pink.
even texturized, like, and
Yeah.
that's like like
You
crystal.
can see a little bit on the camera. Yeah. I'm so excited to receive it next month. So talk to me about like the process of writing. Uh, did you benefit from your travel experiences and the travel experience that you had at this point? How did this help you write the book, and what would it be different for the book if you didn't have your travel experiences before you wrote it?
You know what? I can't say what it would be like before, because honestly, everything has contributed to who I am now. Every country I've been to, every person I've met, every disappointment, every, success, everything. It's like a culmination of it all. But I will say, for me, traveling is like a serious part of my soul and my purpose here. And because I don't like to just go places for a couple of weeks, I like to go and live there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll go, and I lived in Europe for 6 months. I lived in Bali for a year. I like to actually go to these places and live and really experience it. And for me, it's like when I'm in a new environment, I notice the smells. I'm like, okay, it's like a different smell. You feel the energy is different.
Yeah.
And then also, like, the scenery, like visually, and people look different, and there's a different language, and I find it so exciting. Like, my whole body gets excited.
Yeah, yeah. It's just experience that I like to think of like it's like you said, part of me, part of my existence, and certainly the thing that brings me most happiness. Like I don't think I'm ever as excited as I am when I'm heading somewhere. It's just this feeling of I'm gonna see something new, I'm gonna learn something new, I'm gonna see how people in other countries live and what's their experience. And for me, honestly, talking to locals, this is probably one of my favorite parts of traveling because a lot of people go places and I'm not even going to talk about eating in like main food chains because it's something that it's not even worth discussing, but just sticking to only talking to your group of people, or if you're by yourself, kind of like closing and trying to avoid locals because maybe you heard something or because you're kind of scared of talking to other people. I can understand that if it's like a female traveler who's traveling for the first time. But
Mhm.
most of the time, I feel like people neglect the part of getting to know the locals. And I personally have received one of the best recommendations for restaurants or for hidden gems in different places
Oh
from
yeah.
locals. And you would have never known about these places or these food recommendations if it wasn't for you to, start a conversation and show a little curiosity and talk to someone. And I totally understand sometimes it's not possible because of the language barrier. But if you can talk to locals, just do it. Just see what the experience will be, because this is huge part of learning about the country you are in.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And one of my favorite things to do is so I took the I was never trying to be an influencer.
Yeah.
Oh, like one, when I started everything, and the term influencer really didn't exist. I mean, it was like celebrities. It wasn't
Hmm.
like influencers, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just was trying to sell my yoga line that I created. And so I used Instagram because this is like a decade ago and Instagram was more open. And so I was just utilized because it was a free form of advertising and I was just working
Hmm.
part time jobs. So I used Instagram and then that's how everything grew. So then when I was like, oh gosh, I really loved solo traveling. I want to do that more. I'm like, well, let me use this influencer thing. Like, and then I was contacting hotels and different tours and all of this. And then so what I would do is I would go to a different country. I'd get 2 nights in a 5-star hotel. And then I just stay at the hotel. I would do a
Yeah.
photo shoot with a local. I never had an Instagram husband or boyfriend. I always worked with the local, and then a lot of times I become friends with them.
Yeah.
And then we would go out. They'd take me to the coolest places to take photos or just to hang out and go out with their friends. And so I loved doing the photo shoots with locals. It's like the best way to do photo shoot. And then everyone has their own different style and you get creative with a stranger and it's like a whole magical thing. And it was just such a beautiful part of the experience. And
Yeah.
another part of the experience is here I am in this like amazing 5-star hotel and I'm just going to stay in the hotel and enjoy it because I only got it for 2 nights. And then I would take my butt to a hostel and I always would get my own room. I was fine sharing a bathroom, but I needed at least my own room because I can't sleep with
Yeah.
other people in the room. I
Mhm.
only did that twice when it was I absolutely had to. I
Okay,
abs
now I need to hear. I mean, if you put it like this, I want to hear the story now.
well, God, this was a few years back, and uh it was my friend and I last minute decided to go to Tulum for New Year's. And Tulum, well, I had a little money, she had like no money. And Tulum, especially at that time, is it's so overpriced because this was also when Tulum was like the hot spot. So
Yeah.
everybody from the East Coast was going to Tulum for New Year's and it was like super expensive. And my friend found this hostel and oh my God, it was just disgusting. It was, but I was like, you know what? Let's just party all night.
Yeah, it's New
And,
Year's.
and so, you know what I mean? And then so we actually both caved and got like just a boutique hotel, stayed at a boutique hotel because I was like, I need to sleep and I need something nice. And we both,
Yeah.
and so we both like just put it on the credit card. But Um, so that was one time. And then another time was when it was in the summer and this was again years ago. And I went to Mykonos and I was there alone. So hostels are a great place to go when you're alone. And if you can sleep in the bunk beds around other people, good for you. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
But otherwise you can get your own room. A lot of hostels have, you just pay a little extra.
Yeah.
And I prefer that. But it's a great way to meet people. And I was in Mykonos. Everything there was so crazy priced, and it's like it's just me. So it's like I'm gonna pay $300-400
It's not
for
worth it. Yeah.
a night, and me, it was like I have no one to split it with.
Hmm.
So I'm like, oh, I'll stay at this hostel. And they didn't have any rooms available. So I had to sleep. I mean, it was a huge room with like 20, 30
Oh,
bunks.
wow.
Oh my god, it was crazy. It was just like I was like, "Oh my god." But anyway, I ended up meeting this, Greek guy who worked at one of the restaurants, and he was like 10 years younger than me, but he was so cute.
Yeah.
And so we started talking, and he's like, "You wanna go on a walk?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go on a walk." And so we went on a walk around Mykonos, and, um oh, and I met an amazing gay guy there, and we went to the beach together, a beach club together. Oh, yeah, see? I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This
Yeah.
is hostels.
I was gonna say this is what I love about hostels. I know the accommodation is like pretty, beginner level, I would say, nothing crazy, no amenities and stuff like this. But for me, like I always say, because I prioritize experiences, I would rather pay less for accommodation and just have more to spend there. Because one thing I never save money from, this is experiences. This is different tours or like tickets for activities and stuff like this. So I'm like, as long as I have clean sheets, hot water, and the ability to lock the door, I'll be fine. I've never been in a room though with 20 people, because that's kind of crazy. I think the most I've been with is, they were maybe 10 or 12 beds, so five or six bunk beds, but most of them were empty. So we were like four women in the same room, and it didn't feel like it was that much for sure. But most of the time so far, I've only had good experiences and always meeting people that I keep in touch with,
Mhm.
which I love. And in your case, the same. Like,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for you to stay there, you wouldn't make those new friends and go to the beach or go for a walk. And it's way different to sometimes have someone you don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of romanticizing the parts where you can pretend to be anyone, right? Like you're just the exotic foreigner, and you're just there
Yeah.
for a few days. So I'm sure it also contributes to the experience a little bit, to be this
No, it
like,
totally does. It totally does. It makes everything really magical, and I love finding the magic in life, and it's so interesting because I was on this one podcast, and then the girl who did the podcast with me, she does this thing where it's called like soul decoding, like
mm-hmm,
decoding your soul. And it's like this very ancient system where they can tell you kind of what, or like what your purpose is and all that stuff. So she said two things that were so true. She goes, "For you, travel is essential. So much so if you didn't, you'd probably get a disease."
wow,
Like, if you just made yourself stay put and you didn't, because I mean, I've been back home now for a long time. I've taken like little trips, but
yeah,
I'm concentrating on doing PR on my book, and I know when to go and when not to go. But,
yeah,
but it's, she did say, she's like, "Yeah, if you tried to ignore that, you'd probably get sick."
wow. I mean,
And
that is crazy, but at the same time makes total sense. You
makes
just
total sense.
you got the, what is it, the trypophobia, fear of not having any trips booked.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, I usually don't have trips booked. I literally am like, "Okay, I'm going."
Yeah, you just
I'm
decide and
like,
you go.
yeah, I kind of decide, and then I'm like, "Okay, I'm leaving."
And
You
how
know?
do you plan then? I'm curious to hear, like, do you like putting some details together in advance to kind of like have your days planned? Because you mentioned you travel for like longer periods, but
Yeah.
when you go for, let's say, a week or two, do you like planning what you're gonna do there? Do you like having like a list of activities, or you just go and you decide everything at the moment?
I'll usually like look and see what the thing to do there is and what interests me, and then I'll make a plan for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, these are the places I want to see. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to cover. And then I just let the rest flow. I mean, I'll book my accommodation, but
Yeah,
and then I just kind of let the rest I don't it's like I don't if I have everything so like written out and everything, it feels like work to me.
yeah. Oh, it
Like
is totally,
today I
totally.
have like a full list of things I needed to do, which is fine because this is a work day.
Yeah,
But when I'm traveling, I want it to be like, "Yay, I'm going to go do this." And I'm lucky because I run on my own schedule, so I can stay places longer, and then I
mm-hmm.
can really, play with that and take my time. Because I
Yeah.
don't do well with jet lag. Jet lag really
Oh, really?
It's really hard on my body. My body just is like, where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. What is your like? Do you have any tricks, to trick your body and like to make you feel
No, sir.
better?
I have,
Nothing works for you?
I have no, I have
Wow.
nothing has worked. It's just time. Because
Yeah.
you have like an inner clock, like you have like your body's used to the sun and then the night, and you're on this Arcadian, I think it's called Arcadian
Mm-hmm.
system, rhythm, Arcadian system, whatever. And when you go to a place like Europe, where it's such a drastic change, you're talking about when it's night there, it's day here. When it's
Yeah.
day here, it's all jumbled around. So now when you're supposed to be sleeping, you need to be awake, and when you're supposed to be awake, you're sleeping here. So it just takes my body a long time to like get with the program.
Wow. And how much time does it usually take for you to get used to new time difference?
3 weeks on the nose.
No, 3 weeks. Oh
I mean,
my
it
God.
gradually gets better.
Yeah.
It gradually gets better. Don't get me wrong. Like it gradually gets better, but there's still, up until that third week, there's still this feeling of I'm kind of dragging my feet through the day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like I'm tired.
Yeah.
I want to sleep. Like my body is like pulled to sleep.
Yeah.
So, but it takes me 3 weeks, and then boom, I'm on their system
Yeah.
after 3 weeks.
Interesting. Yeah, for me, usually it's way easier to adjust to the time difference on my way there than on my way back. Like years ago, when I was traveling between here and Bulgaria, where I'm from, I would come here for like 4 or 5 months and I would have no problem adjusting from the very beginning. It would take me like maybe a day or two to switch to the time difference.
Oh
And then
wow.
and then I would go back to Bulgaria, the place where I've lived my whole life, and I would have such a hard time adjusting back to my original time zone, which was crazy. I would like get up in the middle of the night and, searching for something in the fridge. It was just so crazy. And I'm usually good with like short trips, but last year when I went to Bulgaria after not going home for almost 4 years, I struggled a lot. I think just after 4 years, primarily being in Pacific time, it was 10 hours difference is a lot, and it's literally like you said, instead of waking up and having your breakfast, you're almost going to bed and you just ate dinner, so your body's so confused, like what the hell is going on. I remember spending the first maybe 10 days literally falling asleep around 7 a.m. Bulgarian time and waking up in like an hour or two and functioning all day long in a way that I didn't even understand because just the body was so confused. I never got to eat properly, never got to feel real hunger. And I came back and everything was fine. But I guess the more time you spend without going back to the place you're used to, it's going to be
Well, I think it's
harder.
always harder when you lose hours than when you gain hours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's harder because going to Europe, especially from, we're both in California, you're losing time. So
Yeah.
that's really hard for your body. But when I come back to California, I kind of love it because I know I'm gonna wake up at like 3 a.m., but I'm gonna be up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna see the sunrise, and I literally, when I come back, I'll do like 10 loads of laundry. I'll do 10 loads of laundry. I'll do a ton of work. I'll get my place all cleaned up. I'll do a walk to the beach and back, and then it's like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And but then I'll crash out at 5 p.m. At 5 p.m., I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then, but I love it because I'm not a morning person, and I'm not somebody that's like, oh, yay, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. I mean, for me, like, I'm like, okay, 8:30 is pretty early. Like
Yeah.
8:30, 9:30 is good for me to wake up. But it takes me a long time to wake up. So I love the jet lag coming back
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm a morning person. I'm like, woo, we're
Yeah.
up. Time to go.
Time to go. Yeah. And it sounds like it's really productive for you. I mean, during the night, you're cleaning, you're doing laundry and stuff like this. That's the
Yeah,
energy everyone wants.
yeah, and I'm like all excited to be back home. I missed, my place. I love my little place. So I yeah, for me coming back is always I always look forward to it. Like even when I'm in the plane, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. How long does it take usually for you to start missing home? Like, do you ever feel like nostalgic, or do you feel like, oh my God, I'm ready to go home. Like, I wish I was in my bed. Like, do you struggle when you go to places with like, that's not my bed, that's not my pillow, or you can literally sleep anywhere? And do you miss home at all ever?
Yes, I do. I think this last time I was in Europe for 6 months, and Europe's kind of in a weird place right now. It just feels not as safe and a little dirty. And, and I missed home. I like, not that LA is any better. I mean, LA is pretty much in the same kind of like
Yeah.
condition, but at least it's my couch, my TV, my bed. And so I was missing home after being away so long. Like I was tired and I was ready to come home. But see, after 2 months home, I'm like, get me out of here. I gotta go. So I
Yeah.
really only want to be at home for 2 months.
Hmm.
And then I get kind of stir crazy and I'm like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, yeah. Certain times pass and I need to have something booked. For me, it's like I always have to have something booked because I need to look forward to something. And if God forbid there is like a week or even 5 days in between coming back from a trip and booking my next one, I can tell you honestly that I'm sitting like this. I'm like, I don't have a purpose right now. Like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And it sounds really dramatic, and it is dramatic, but I do feel kind of lost in the few days where I have nothing booked. And it's crazy because I know I'm gonna book something soon. It's not like I have to wait for something to happen, or someone told me, it's gonna happen next year. No, I know that very soon I'll have something booked. It's just this part of me that is super impatient, and I'm like, I need to know what I'm looking forward to. I need to know the date, because for me it's like it's all about the countdown almost. And
Yeah.
it's
No, I get
crazy.
that. Well, it seems like travel's in your soul too.
Oh my God. Like, I
You
wish I
know?
could describe it, but it's so hard for me because uh I don't know how to live life in general, but I think I know how to live mine. And I know that it's just 100% travel related. And I knew it when I was very young, like since my parents started taking me to different trips and stuff. I just remember the excitement of getting in the car and knowing that we're gonna drive somewhere. For a lot of people, it's like, oh, I don't like being in the car, it's so many hours, or I hate packing. I'm probably, I will sound like I'm a psycho for some people. I love packing. I'm literally like, call me and be like, come home and help me pack. I will be there in 30 minutes. For me, this is one of the best parts of traveling because it prepares me to go somewhere. It's giving me this signal of, you're going somewhere, you're leaving soon, it's time for another adventure. And I love it because it means I'm about to experience something. And I totally understand for a lot of people, this is like overwhelming. What do I take? How do I not overpack and stuff like this? For me, it's like I feel like I'm in my natural habitat when I'm packing. And a lot of people don't understand it, but it makes the waiting for the trip kind of better for me because I'm like preparing for the trip.
I get it. You're like marinating in the excitement, and that's one of the really amazing parts. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of packing, but
Yeah.
I do love like getting excited about what's to come. And with no expectations, like just to be excited to go somewhere, just
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
off in the world. Like I feel like I think about it like I'm throwing myself into life, and we're just
Hmm.
gonna go on this adventure.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of packing, like, is there something you always pack but you never use? Or something that you always need, but for some reason you forget to pack and you have to either get at the place you're going to or you don't get at all the whole trip?
No, I'm pretty good at like bringing. One thing I'll always bring everywhere is ibuprofen.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's
that's
good to have.
that's essential. Or when you're going somewhere where there's like really intense time change, Advil PM or Benadryl.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
And stool softener, cuz
yeah,
because sometimes you can get really constipated after a long flight. So like those
yeah.
those are like it's like, okay, so pain relief, stuff for constipation, um, allergy medication. Cause you don't know sometimes, like, I'm really allergic to dust and mold, and
Mm.
if I'm in a place, especially that's super old, I could have a reaction, so I bring that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Those are always good to have, even for a road trip. Like you never know when you're gonna need them. And I
Yeah.
feel like when you have them, you barely need them. But if you don't have them, that's when
Oh,
you're gonna
that's
need
when you
them.
need it. It's so true. So
Yeah,
I made that mistake one time when I was in Morocco, and I didn't bring any stool softener, anything, and
yeah.
it was awful. I was in so much
Wow.
pain. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when you travel by yourself, it's like it's even harder because you rely on yourself to go get it. And if you feel bad, like who's gonna help you? Like who's gonna be there for you to do this little thing, even just to run to the pharmacy and stuff like this. So I feel like this is one of the things people think about when they consider solo traveling. They're like, but what am I gonna do if? And I kind of want to talk to you about, let's say you can tell one story to a person who's considering solo traveling, and you have one story to convince them to go on a solo trip. Like, what would that story be? What would you tell someone who's super indecisive to go on a trip alone? What would you tell them? What would that story be?
Gosh. I've
Take your
had
time.
I've had so many amazing experiences that it's really well, okay, so I'll tell you this one because this is what probably one of my favorites. I when I had to do the rewrite of my book, I wanted to go to the Amalfi Coast,
Mm-hmm.
because I could get actually a really good deal on a place with a Mediterranean Sea view.
Ooh, nice.
Because I was going mid-October to mid-November, so that's their off
Off
season.
season. Mm-hmm.
And so I got this place where I wake up every day with like my cappuccino, and it just has this panoramic view of the Mediterranean and like the Amalfi Coast. So crazy. And the owner of the Airbnb, her and I became such close friends. I would just eat at her house like every day for lunch. She would invite
Yeah.
me, Giovanna, come over, come over. And my dad is buried like an hour away from the Amalfi Coast. So that's
Mm-hmm.
also why I wanted to be there, 'cause I'm close to my dad.
Yeah.
So, and then, I became friends with the lady's daughter. So she took me out, and then I met this guy, and we just had such a beautiful, sweet, like love affair. And I just woke up every day, like that month I was there, I woke up every day just feeling like I was enveloped in love, where I
Wow.
was almost kind of like, is this real? Because it's like just waking up, I have a Amalfi Coast view. I'm writing, with this view. Then I have the lady who's like, come to my house today. And I would just like walk down the hill and like go to her house for like amazing Italian food. She
Yeah.
was always checking on me. She would take me to the grocery store. And then I had this guy who was so handsome and so sweet. He was he was a lot younger than me. Um, and we just had this like great love affair. I felt like I was teaching him things, and he was teaching
Mm-hmm.
me some things and about myself. And I, it was just, I just felt so loved, and I needed that at that moment. So,
Convinced? I mean, if someone is not convinced after that, I don't know what's gonna convince them.
I mean, it's kind of like what everybody would want, right?
Yeah, like for me, when you mentioned the view from the balcony, I was like, if that was me, I'm convinced. I don't need to hear the rest of the story. I'll be there.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I gotta tell you, like the fact that you lived in Bali and what you just said about Italy and like your great time there, it gives me eat, pray, love vibes. I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh for sure. Oh for sure. I haven't been to India yet, so
See,
that's
that should be the next one to complete the circle.
well, I do love Eat, Pray, Love. I love the book. I love the film. Like I was
Yeah.
obsessed with it. I really was. But I honestly, the reason why I chose Bali, because yeah, Eat, Pray, Love was maybe a part of that, but it was also inexpensive.
Oh, for
And
sure. Yeah.
I'm writing a book, and I'm not, I needed to live cheaply. And
Yeah.
I also didn't want to work. I didn't want to have to like buy groceries and cook every day. I wanted to eat out at restaurants and just kind of not worry and be free. And Bali was inexpensive, and it's safe for women. It's so safe. And that was another thing that was important to me. It's super spiritual and they have a huge yoga community. So like
Hmm.
they have the best yoga studios. Like Thailand, I went to Thailand. I didn't like doing yoga there. It was nothing compared to Bali.
Mm.
Like Bali has these crazy open air studios with amazing cafes with like the best juices and cappuccinos and
Yeah,
all the vegan chocolates and this and that. I mean, it's just I'm not vegan, but I do like those. But
yeah, yeah.
well, there was a lot of reasons. I had some friends that were speaking highly of it. There was just like a lot of reasons. So Eat, Pray,
Hmm.
Love was like part of it, but it definitely wasn't the whole.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's crazy though how sometimes you get inspired from either a book or from a movie or something that it's gonna give you this little nudge you need to do something. So, maybe after listening to that episode, someone's gonna be like, I'm doing it. I know I've been postponing this solo trip, but I actually have had people who would text me. I have an episode in season one called Solo Trips Equal Soul Trips. And I had a few people texting me after that, and one of them was like, I don't know what was in this episode, but I booked my trip to Germany. I'm like, that's what I love to
Oh
hear.
my gosh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
He
Yeah,
went to Germany and sent me photos after. So it was
fantastic.
it was very cool, because sometimes it takes a little bit for you to gain this courage that you need. And we talked
Yes.
about confidence a little bit. So I kind of wanted to ask you, what do you think is the most beneficial thing you've gained from your solo trip specifically? Because in general, traveling, we all know it enriches you in so many ways. It's for me, it's like the education that you'll never get in school or anywhere else. It's just you go, you see,
Yeah.
you understand. But what is the personal benefit you see from your solo trips? Like, how did they change you? What's maybe this one thing that you didn't have before but you have now, or maybe some trait that you've gained from your solo trips?
Well, I really see, and this was not intentional, but just like really like way more confident. And I wasn't trying to do that. It just happened. It's like, whoa, like people. Well, actually, I didn't even notice it. People were telling me you're so confident, like wow, and not in an arrogant way, but just
Yeah.
comfortable with myself. Like I can go anywhere and feel pretty comfortable with myself and comfortable in the situation and know how to handle it and know if I need to get out of it or if it's good for me or not good for me and trusting that. And that's so huge. That's really huge.
Yeah.
And because that also by putting yourself in different situations, you are getting to know yourself. And
Hmm.
that getting to know yourself is the confidence.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think confidence is like, oh, I walk into the room and I think I'm the coolest, hottest person here. And no, confidence is I feel comfortable in my own skin and I
Yeah.
can be anywhere and I can handle myself. And that to me is confidence.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not really the way you would scream that you're confident. I feel like confidence is actually quiet. You're just walking into a room and you don't feel the need to prove anything because the confidence is just inside, just like you said. And I feel often feel like people are asking me questions about my solo trips with a little bit of I don't know, like they feel sorry for me in a way. It would be like, oh my god, you went by yourself. And for me, like it's this should be a compliment. Just like you said, like for you to feel comfortable enough with yourself to go somewhere, because I do know people who cannot even sit on a table in a restaurant. They cannot even have lunch by themselves. They always need to be with someone. I know people who would just pull me in the bar and be like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom, come with me. And nothing wrong with that. Everyone's different. But I feel like sometimes people would ask me questions in the sense of, oh my god, you didn't have anyone to go with. And I feel like this is the biggest misconception about solo travelers. If you travel solo, some people just think that you have no friends or you have no one to go with. And I feel like only people who travel solo know that solo travelers are actually one of the most like extroverted people on the planet, and they can literally make friends from absolutely nothing. They can meet someone and go on a trip with them the very next day, if not the same day. So what do you think is the biggest misconception for solo travelers, and have you ever encountered any questions like that? Have you ever sensed of people asking you like questions about your solo travels in a
Honestly,
way?
I mostly get like how cool I want to do that. Can I ask you questions how you did that? Or
Yeah.
or people telling me, they admire it. And, I really get that. I mean, if people are kind of like, oh, she's alone, that's sad, that they don't say it to me. And if they
Yeah,
think that says more about them than it does about me. So
yeah.
I don't really pay attention to that. But I do get a lot of people who are like, that's so cool.
Hmm.
To be honest, like that's more what I get than like, or I get people that are leading with their fear. Aren't you scared? Like, don't you
Yeah,
get lonely? Like, I do get that, but I don't think they're kind of looking at me like I'm a loser. I think they're just kind of like scared.
yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, I meet more people when I'm alone than when I'm actually with somebody else. Like
Oh,
with
for
somebody,
sure.
when you're with somebody else, it kind of ties you down.
So, look, thank you so much for being on Adventulina. I really appreciate your time. I had a great time getting to know you.
Me
I
too.
hope you come on the podcast another time, maybe after the second book. We'll see.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
can you just quickly tell us about the giveaway you have? Just a little bit of details and the deadline so
Yes.
people can participate.
Yes. So the giveaway, so I'm doing a pre-order giveaway. So if you pre-order the book, and it can be in any format, you'll enter to win a 2-night stay in Maui, in an oceanfront room, and $100 gift card to my store.
Awesome. Well, Giovanna, thank you again for coming on Adventulina. It was a great time for me. Hope you enjoyed it too. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
So, guys, this is all from this week's episode. I had a great time sitting down with Giovanna, getting to know her, and I'm sure you did too. I'm also sure that the traveler inside of you is already thinking about the 2 night stay in Maui that Giovanna mentioned. So, guys, in honor of the upcoming release of Giovanna's first book, Confused Girl, you now get the chance to participate in her giveaway and win a 2 night stay in Maui's resort and a $100 gift card to Giovanna's activewear store. All you have to do is to pre order her book on Amazon. All formats work, which is amazing, and to send the receipt to info@confusedgirlla.com. I'm going to leave this info in the description of the episode and also across all my social media accounts where I'm going to promote this episode. Hurry up because time is limited. May 13th is the last day you can participate. I already ordered. I think it's unnecessary to say. You guys know I love reading books. And this is going to be a special one because I got to sit with the author and talk to her about her travel experiences, how traveling shaped her as a person, and how it gave her confidence. So I'm super, super curious to read that book. And I'm excited to actually find it in my mailbox once I come back from my vacation. So let's support some fellow travelers and let's also win some vacations. Go give Giovanna some love in the comments, check out her activewear store, follow her on Instagram. And thank you guys so much for listening and watching this time. For those of you who had the chance to watch the first video episode of Adventurina, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you soon in the next episode, which is landing shortly. Until then, bon voyage!